As you know, some of you do, some of you are new, but Savvy Coders is a 12-week immersive boot camp. I'm Stephanie Grimshaw. I sit on the advisory board with Elaine for Savvy Coders and a full-time IT recruiter for NetFX. But we've got 4 students today who have worked really, really hard. We're very excited to show you what they've accomplished in 12 weeks. With that, I would like to introduce you Jonathan Dove.
If you guys have any questions or comments or anything like that, feel free to speak up. If you need to wave your hand, get my attention, however you want to do it. But my name is Jonathan Dove. I worked at a company called Fiserv, which is a direct mailing company, for about 17 years. I worked 10 years in production and then 7 years in more of like an office environment. Picked up some coding in my spare time, did a lot of testing while I was there, did a variety of other tasks as well. Unfortunately, there was a budget event, and so I found myself at a career transition. And so I looked into Savvy Coders with help of Tara. She introduced me to it, and it's been a great experience. So I'm looking to eventually build on the coding experience that I picked up through Savvy Coders and some of my previous coding experience that I've had, and maybe also go into a little bit more testing. And so currently I'm looking to become junior developer, hopefully to eventually become a full stack developer. And Savvy Coders has helped me start off on that. So if you would like, I would be happy to show you the project I've been working on.
Yes.
So this is the game store that I've built up. It's mostly HTML, CSS. It has JavaScript, making it into a single page application. So the JavaScript is taking all the HTML pages and making them into one document. And then it's switching between views, which would be the traditional pages, using the JavaScript. So I made just kind of a introductory kind of splash screen here so you can kind of get a familiarity with the website. But the primary focus that I was going with the website was to have players be able to interact with each other. So I have created a players page. I don't have everything linked up to Firebase yet, but the intent is that each username will have data added to it. So you'll have a game that you prefer, a time that you prefer, and things along that lines. Other players will be able to contact you by your username and whatever criteria is that you have. And from there, you'd be able to meet up and hopefully be able to play a game with another player. So from that input, I created a new users page, something where you can kind of put your information in and say, these are the things I'm interested in, these are the times I have available, things along that lines. I have a little bit more I'd like to add to it, but for right now, it's just kind of as a introductory kind of thing. So after you, I'm sorry?
Just real quick, I have a quick question.
Sure.
I don't know if you covered it, but what is the product about? What are you trying to do here? I understand that it's a place for games, but what value will your customers go here for?
It's designed to be a front-end page for a game store. So what they're trying to do is have people go to the game store, and from there you would have a room or something designated up. Previous game stores I've played at would rent out rooms at an hourly rate. And so the designation for this would be that you would say, I'm going to rent this room for 3 hours. Here's the other player I'd like to play with, and then facilitate them meeting up and being able to play at the same time at the same store.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a scheduler for a physical location to meet up for playing games. Okay.
Yeah, that's the intent.
Okay, thanks.
So after a player goes through and does the new user setup, they would appear on this table. And this table is built dynamically, so a new player, when they were added in, would appear at the bottom of this page. And so from there, I would need to add in possibly like additional pages or a search function. But once everything's put in, I'm sorry.
Wait, when you say it's dynamic, what are you using for persistence then?
Right now, the intent is to have Firebase storing the data and then pulling the data from Firebase to populate it. Right now, I have it hard-coded. I wasn't able to get all the parts working for Firebase in time. So right now, this is dummy data that's in the actual JavaScript itself.
Gotcha. Okay.
But,
John,
yes,
quick question.
Sure.
So is there a way to set up a function? And by the way, great idea. My kids and my husband would love this because this is a huge market for game stores. But is there a way to do a notification to where when a new player signs up that it would notify the other players? And if not, that might be something to think about too. Like, hey, we have a new player.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that because I'm not sure. Some gamers don't really like to be contacted a whole lot, but that would be something you could probably put as a notification. Yes, I would like to get notifications when the new players are available. Hadn't thought about that. That's a good idea.
Okay. Sorry, keep going.
Oh, no, it's fine. So the page that you would probably be landing on most to kind of look at is when you go into a new user page, you would go to this schedule page. And I found that I probably need to redesign this portion of it because it's not going to link the username like I would like. I'll probably need to add in a room page for the users and the schedule to bounce off of. But the intent is that you would be able to click on a user, see what days they're available, what hours they're available, and what games they'd like to play. And from there, you'd be able to make contact with them. So I went into just a kind of brief overview on some of the games that the store would have available. And each of these has links to the company website. So if you're unfamiliar with the game and the brief overview isn't enough, go into the actual game website itself and learn a little bit more about the game itself, buy product, etc. So the events page is, I just put in a little bit of something in there, but the intent would be that you would have game meetups like Magic the Gathering does Friday Night Magic. It's a big popular thing. So this would be where that stuff would be located. So you'd be able to look at the store webpage and go, oh, there's a Friday Night Magic coming up. I want to be able to go to that. Or there's a big D&D convention coming through town. I would like to go to that. And so this would be something that the store would have some draw because they would be able to possibly sell some product or get some attendance for or some kind of event. And from there, maybe just some other kind of social type of things. I have a social page that I've added in. I haven't had time to add in what I would like, but I would like to be able to have the store page's Twitter page in there and have like a Twitter feed and possibly a Instagram post or something similar so you could see some of the pictures from the store events, some of the previous events, and have something to get a little bit of draw. And then I put in a just kind of generic about page just so you could have a little bit of information about what the store owners and such would be like.
So John, quick question.
Sure.
I was thinking about when new games come out, because it's a big industry and people love new games. I have friends that do game weekends. So
Yes.
for those of you that are not exposed, this is a big arena for entertainment for some individuals. But the order ahead option, like if there's a new game coming out, I'm thinking the stores might be able to tie this in to say, hey, we have a new game if you want to purchase it ahead of time, like pre-ordered, right?
Yeah.
And then it'll be here on this day and you can set up a game time and day to come in and play.
Okay.
And invite people.
Yeah, I would probably handle that with the event page, but I had intended before I had to scale the product down from what I had originally intended. I wanted to have an actual store page on there that would link, have the products that the store would sell. So you'd be able to pre-order, get dice, all the other various different things that you would normally expect from being able to order from a game store.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Awesome.
But the table itself is dynamic, so I'll go into that a little bit more. So the JavaScript itself has just a table tag that the JavaScript hooks into. And from there, it reads whatever data is in there and populates it using key values that are either pulled from Firebase or currently built hard-coded into the JavaScript. But that's where the dynamic table comes in. So each time you need to add something else, it'll just automatically read that new data in and then populate it at the bottom of the page. So that's my website. Is there any information that you guys would like? A little bit more overviews of anything?
Larry posted a comment. Larry, do you want to share?
Sure. Sorry. I happen to notice your URL that you're showing us. So I navigated to it on my computer. And I didn't know. So I know you're trying to integrate Firebase now. There's a config file in there. I'm not sure if anything in there is secret or private or anything.
Yeah, the Firebase stuff hasn't been linked up to the website yet. But
Just
yeah.
make sure and this is just a note for the future, but whenever you're going to try to connect to a database or something like that, make sure that none of that connection logic is exposed. But
Yeah, I know I don't have that hidden up yet. It was something I was going to get to and I just hadn't gotten to yet.
No, that's good. Firebase is good. I've used it before. It's cool. I don't have a lot to say about the actual, the business case behind the store. I think it's kind of neat thing that you made here.
Okay.
And I like the functionality you're showing. Sorry, it's my first time I've been in one of these Savvy Coder things, so I'm trying to.
Me too.
But I think you have something to grow from here. I don't know how this is going to hook into anything to do with the store itself, or if it's just me kind of a bolt-on thing.
It's more right now. It's just kind of a fake website, just to kind of put together for proof of concept.
Sure.
But hopefully, if a website was interested in it or game store would be interested in it, they would be able to take the players portion of it and the table entries and the player portion and integrate that into their website and have more of a interactive experience. Or at least that's the hope.
Yeah, and I know you talked about doing this dynamically. Some of those other configuration things, like the time slots to meet up, or any other stuff could be dynamically generated also, depending on how long a game typically takes. Or
yeah, the intent, which I realized after I had this mostly put together, was I couldn't link the stuff up as well as I would have liked. I'll need to build a room page that will have the time schedule of the store and what rooms and such are available with like rates and such like that. And then from there, the users and the schedule was linked into that page.
Okay,
John.
awesome. Go ahead.
What would you do differently, knowing what you know now and going in now that you've had some exposure and have worked with all these different things? What would you do differently next time?
I would have started at a smaller scale. When I first decided to try and do this, I wanted to have a whole video game section, which would also be linked in. I wanted to have a source that would also be added in there. And, things along that lines, things that you would find at more of a varied video game store or tabletop game store or something similar, kind of like an all-inclusive type of thing. But since I started with such a wide scope, I had to narrow it down significantly from my previous intent. So I would have started a little smaller.
Okay. And then from a technical perspective, what was the most challenging thing for you and how did you overcome that?
I would say probably linking the JavaScript into a single page application. With how the table works, it does a query select. So when I originally built the web page, it worked fine with how the query selectors are working. So it would grab information from the HTML and say, okay, this page is loaded. I'm going to grab this and I'll start populating the table onto it. but because it's a single page application, the page would load before the query would be able to, or the query would try to select something before the page was fully loaded. So it wouldn't have anything to grab onto. So it was just coming up as a blank screen. And that one took me a little while to kind of reason out. I had to talk to my teacher and TAs to kind of figure out what's going on. And that was kind of a long process to get that kind of squared away.
Okay.
Jonathan, this is Howard Hayes.
How you doing?
How did you brainstorm your concept? Is it just your background? Did you talk to store owners? You tell me.
I've had a lot of history with running games, playing in game stores, but it was actually my wife that gave me the idea. This is something that I've had, I've done here and there. And so she was just like, well, you're familiar with game stores, you're familiar with game store websites, why don't you try and build one? Okay, well, that sounds like a good idea. I mean, a lot of different things I could do with it. I'll go with that. And so this is where the website came from.
So I see it as more than an academic exercise, and now you have proof of concept. What are your next steps?
I'd like to flesh it out more, make it into the website I was intending originally, which is probably going to take me a little while. Have to figure out how to get the Twitter feeds and stuff like that in there. But I'd like to be able to make it into the full web store experience that gaming stores could have, but a lot of times don't.
Okay. Jonathan, thank you so much. Great job. One thing I just want to reiterate, these guys, a lot of the students, they all come from a variety of backgrounds, and not all of the students have, I'd say 95% of them have no prior experience in technology whatsoever. Jonathan has some experience and decided to want to get more in-depth experience with development. And so that's just to kind of set the tone for expectations for what the students have accomplished, coming from ground zero, from 12 weeks to building a functional single page application. So Jonathan, thank you. And with that, I am going to bring in Lillian.
All right.
So she is joining now. She's our second student for the evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Lillian.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Turn your video on and
Okay. Sorry.
you are good to go.
All right. Hello, my name is Lillian Blair. Glad to be with you all today. Before I get started, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I started my IT tech career as a network administrator, where I built computers and took them apart and I added programs on them. And I've always wanted to do websites, and that's what brought me to the Savvy Coders Bootcamp. So I'm gonna share my screen. All right, now let me tell you a little bit about my capstone project. When I started this program, I didn't know anything, and I've sung all my life, and now I do a lot of solos engagements. So I thought, why not do my project of me singing? When I started this project, I set up 4 HTML pages, one for my home page, one for my contact me page, one for my media page, and one for my request form page. And after I got them together and added my CS style to them, I then broke it down into a single page application where I put all that information into the components folder file, the components file, the views file, and the store file. And with all that, it brought me to my website after getting all of the changes done that I needed. And on my homepage, my website, you can listen to me sing, request me for an event, or find out where I'm singing next. I have a list of all the songs that I love to sing right here. And when you go to the bottom, it says to hear these, click on the media link above. Before I go up to the media link, I also added where you could go to my Twitter account, my LinkedIn account, my Instagram account, or my GitHub. And once you look at all of the songs that I sing, you can hit on the media link and it'll bring you to my media page where I have videos where I'm singing. And all you do is click on it and you'll get up to 30 minutes, 30 seconds to 45 minutes of me singing. And you also can click on my audio links down here where the songs that I have on the home page, there is a link for each one of those songs. And you can click on that and it's going to take you to an audio link page where you can press play and that'll allow you to hear those songs.
I've had some good days. I've had some hills to climb.
Now I wanted to have music behind them, but I didn't have the time to get somebody to do that. So in the future, I want to add some frequently asked questions. I want to add the React.js, and I would love to get some live videos of me actually ministering live. So that is the goal. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. If you have any questions or if you have any comments, please do.
I just want to quickly say I really like to see stuff like this where you just had a concept and you were able to get yourself out there and sort of make that little soundboard and have your content there. And it sounds like you even recorded your own new content to be on there all in this time. So that's great initiative. It's neat to see that. It kind of reminds me of like what like the Web 1.0 was all about, was just like people sort of putting themselves up there and making a presence for themselves. So I think that's nice.
Is there anything additional that you would like to add that you didn't necessarily get to, you know, kind of the future state of what the site will look like?
Yeah, the frequently asked questions where they can ask. I want to put in there just like I wasn't taught to charge for the ministry that God gave me. So that's been really hard thing. So I will put in information about that, what they can do if they want to bless me. And some other questions as far as, you know, will I go anywhere? You know, how many do it cost per song, or, you know, stuff like that in general. And the React, I would like to put the React.js on there. But I know I found out that some of these places, they want to know that you could do that. So I want to, after this, that's the first thing I'm gonna do is start adding the React.js to this website.
Okay. And one thing I was thinking too is like your availability, meaning if you do want to do it more often, right? You want to go places and saying something that just kind of shows when you are available, right? And then if you're scheduled or not, like a visual calendar or something like that. Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, I was going to piggyback on that availability, but you covered that. And great job on the page. I think it's a good opportunity to showcase not only what you learn, but also showcase what you're passionate about. And I really love that.
Thank you.
Lillian, I've had an awfully rough day. Could I hear just a couple of more of your songs?
Okay, you want me to play it or you want me to just sing it?
No,
Ooh.
actually though, I've met a lot of talented artists, but they don't have the merger that you have of technology and artistic talent. You may just find that your calling is helping others too.
Thank you.
Excellent job.
Thank you so much.
Also, one of the things I want to add, since you've had experience with, you know, putting together something like this, probably that would be very helpful for somebody who's also starting, and you know, kind of go through your journey and maybe inspire them to do something that you've actually accomplished.
Yes, thank you.
Lillian,
Yes.
thanks for sharing today. This has been a pretty cool site. What was your favorite thing that you learned as a part of this process with both the technology and just about yourself?
Oh my God, really the whole process, because I've always wanted to learn websites. Even before I did the process of learning how to put computers together and take them apart, add programs, really website building was what I wanted to do. But once this opportunity came, I couldn't pass it by. And everything up to doing the actual hands-on was a little bit of struggle for me, because I'm really a hands-on person when it comes to learning. But I stuck to it, took some time, it took some extra digging into every assignment, but I eventually got it. And once we got to the hands-on, it was really pretty much a breeze, because I learned better hands-on. So it's been an amazing trip for me.
Well, if you stick with it, you'll find that front end web development is pretty nice for a hands-on person, because you can rapidly see what you're learning and what you're changing have a quick effect, which
Yeah.
one of the reasons I like it also. But great job.
Thank you.
Great job, Lillian. And one more comment. So the other thing was content. One of the hardest thing I've ever had to do especially, what Larry alluded to, was on front end development, is also having significant content that would matter to your audience. And it sounds like the way you had yours, you've got plenty. So that's a lot of work. So great job.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Lillian,
Any other?
Congrats, yes. Lillian, congrats on completing your project. It's really great to see you. And all the best with your future endeavors. But I just wanted to add, since this website is so much about a service that you offer, I guess the next step for you should be social media marketing, so that you can get more clients.
Okay.
Continue to work on your websites as everybody is contributing on what more features you could add to it, but also, I guess, get into social media marketing. That way you'll get more clients.
Okay, and you know what? God is good. I already have a couple people that want me to do their website. She's like a godmother to me, and she does pictures, and she wants me to do a website for her. My pastor, he wants me to do a website for him, and I have another young lady from my church who has multiple gifts, and she does things and sells them. So I'll be doing a website for her. So I already got 3 projects. Well, actually 4, because I have an older sister who also designs things by hand that I'll be doing a website for. So I'm gonna be a busy little bee in a little bit.
Great job.
Yes.
You got the ball rolling then. Congrats. Yes.
Yeah, that's a good entrepreneurial spirit. Good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, awesome. All right, so the next person that we're going to add in is Joe Spector. So Lillian, great job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lillian.
You're welcome.
All right, Joe, are you there?
Yep.
Okay, great. It's all yours. Joe, you're muted.
All right. So you guys are ready for me to present right now?
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, hello everybody. I hope you all are having a fantastic night. My name is Joe Spector. I'm currently a Savvy Coder student and very excited to graduate next week. Technology has always been a passion of mine since a very young age. I used to edit YouTube videos and make websites, not with coding, but with like Weebly and things like that. So coding, when I started learning it just a few months ago, was really something new for me, and I really caught a passion onto it really quickly, and I've learned so much in the past 3 months. I'm currently a full-time worker for Schnucks Supermarkets, and that's just a job for me, and I'm looking to break into tech as a career and to do something I love and have a real passion for. So throughout the program, Savvy Coders, I have been working on a project for 3 months, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's a social media platform, and I will actually start sharing my screen so I can show you guys as well as explain the functionality behind it. Okay, so what I wanted to do with this project was create a social media platform for everybody to use. It is for children, teenagers, adults, from people from all countries, and it is called Smiley. It is a place to learn, inspire, and to be yourself. I built this project using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It started mostly with HTML and CSS, and then I used a lot of JavaScript to tie it all together by turning it into a single page application. In order to do that, I created a components file, a views file, and a store. And each portion incorporates some HTML, which gets exported out into the main index file and later imported back, and it all gets rendered in by a function that makes the website all work. So yeah, and that was a big portion of my project that I just completed recently. And so yeah, here's the home page of it. It has a login screen. So if you already have an account, you can enter your email and phone number and password and log in. If you don't have one yet, you can create an account and create your password. These are run through a website called FormSpree. So every time somebody signs up, it will send me an email, and I'll be able to see that somebody new has signed up. So the top navigation bar here was created with Navigo, and I use a reduce function the reduce method to make all the links work. So here is the picture section of my website. On this section, users will be able to upload photos that they have already saved, or they will be able to take a new photo. And another part of my website that I didn't mention yet is that when every post must be educational or inspirational. On other social medias, there's a lot of spam posts and people who are rude to each other. And on this website, that is strictly not allowed. It's only positive content, and it has to have some sort of substance behind it, and not just any random picture. So yeah, that's the pictures section right there. Here is the news section of my website, where users, if they like to write, they can write their own articles and own news, whether it's local or worldwide. So they can practice writing themselves, or people will be able to post articles from other links and other sites. The next section of my social media platform is a gift shop, where we will be selling daily use merchandise such as t-shirts and coffee mugs with our brand logo printed on, so people can represent the website in their real lives and be able to spread it with their friends and family. This is the resources section. This is the part of my website that I think makes it stand out from other social medias. This is all about mental health awareness, which is not talked about as much as it should be. And there will be educational articles and videos that can help teach people about strong mental health. And as well, there will also be a 24-hour hotline phone number for anyone who feels like they need to talk to somebody right away. And yeah, this section, once again, it's called Smiley. It's all about positivity. So this section here, this is one that I'm going to work on as soon as I can to get some articles in there. And then the last section will be a video section where users can upload videos or take a new video. The time limit will only be 1 minute, so they will be able to render in at a decent speed instead of taking a long time to load, such as at some other websites, such as YouTube. It takes a while for some videos to load, so we're going to keep it short and sweet. And yeah, that is the majority of my website there. Some enhancements I plan to make is to make it a lot more functional. I didn't have too much time to work on it because I was working full time and stuff. So I'm going to keep going with the JavaScript, keep reaching out to the community and doing research, and I'm looking forward to add more functionality to this website. So that will about wrap it up. If anybody has any questions or comments, I would love to answer them for any of you guys.
I have a couple. So you mentioned on the purpose of the webpage, ideally primarily is for the content to be more positive, and you're not going to allow anything that's not positive or like negative things like that. So I guess my question is, have you thought about how you're going to filter out should you have a user that would be posting something that does not line up with the purpose of the page, how would you then filter those out?
Yes. So originally, I was going to be to filter them out myself to make sure it follows into all that criteria. And in the future, we could have either a team of people or eventually just some sort of AI that could actually be able to even do that for us to make it easier. If there's a lot of posts, you can't go through every single post by itself all the time. So yeah, but originally it would probably just be me or just a small team of people filtering through the posts to make sure they follow the criteria. And if they do not, the user will be redirected, prompted to edit their post, and it will show where they didn't follow the criteria, and so they'll be able to fix it and upload it again.
And then, thank you for that. I'm just thinking more, if you scale up, it's probably be best to kind of build in an algorithm to screen those out if you get a lot of more users. And then on my second comment was for you had mentioned something with mental health awareness. So I work for an organization that primarily focuses on behavioral health. And that's one of those things that it's a hot item right now just because of where we're at today. But how do you foresee the functionality helping or assisting or maybe partnering with some of these organizations that are already focusing on that mental health awareness or behavioral health type of services and capability?
Yeah, well, I would be absolutely open to work with any other like companies that are already working on already have a platform for that. And this part of my website, it's just gonna be like it's supposed to be like more basic information just for people who might not even have that on their mind. They might have other things going on in their life, and that doesn't even like, that's kind of an afterthought for them. So I just want this to be like basic information such as what is strong mental health, like how can you maintain it, how can you see if somebody might be struggling and how can you help them. So it's just supposed to be like basic information for now.
Okay, thank you.
So Joe, as you're thinking about the site itself as you go forward, had you put any thought towards any of the compliance that oftentimes comes from a mental health or medical type of site, even where it's giving out information, and how that can impact the community, specifically to things like HIPAA compliance and other types of things like that?
Could you repeat just what the exact question is for me, please?
Yeah, just was wondering if looking at your site and thinking about as it grows and evolves and you start to have content in there from a social media perspective, and people are posting things in there about either mental health or struggles that they're having or things like that, have you put any thought towards how you would handle things from a compliance perspective? So there are specific laws and guidelines around managing people's medical information, whether it's mental health or actual medical physical information.
Okay, I understand. Well, yes, I would obviously make sure I have all my research, make sure I'm all researched about that to make sure the criteria is being followed, whether it's like if someone is trying to like share something that is like too personal, I guess, such as medical records, then that will not be allowed to go through on my website. But if somebody wants to share a story that they have been through, or that they could see it as like a teaching or learning experience for another person who might be going through the same thing, then that is totally fine. But if there's not going to be any like personal medical information on this site, that will definitely not be allowed.
Okay. And just as a follow-up question to that, I like the approach of setting up a login account, and I get the approach that you had for there. That's a good idea for that. Had you considered using anything like Google Authenticator or any other type of already authentication that it would already exist out there to actually set those up versus actually maintaining these in that type of way?
Yes. I definitely want to keep it simple, so they don't have to go log in every single time they come to the website. Such as they'll be able to just press the save password, or they can log in just with their Google account, which is actually, I believe that's pretty easy to set up. So once they're logged in with their Google account, they should be all set until the next time they log out or clear their history or whatever.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Joe, this is Tara. Conceptually, I really like this idea based on everything that everyone goes through these days and the different challenges that they have. Back to one of the other points made before, I could see this being a big deal. It's almost like a positive Facebook kind of without all the extra stuff, right?
Yeah.
But then I also see it being something that you can partner with doctors' offices or not, right? It can be something that you push on your own, where you could even have maybe like exercises for children or adults. I know it sounds strange, but my mom actually did an exercise with me when I was little, and she would make me say 3 positive things about myself. It sounds simple, but it's teaching people how to be more positive, right? How to improve their self-confidence, how to be okay with themselves. And so from that perspective, I can definitely see the value in your site. And I just think there's so much further you can take it, right? It would just take time, depending on what you're willing to invest. But I do love the idea. What's the biggest technical challenge that you faced setting everything up?
The biggest technical challenge was most likely the navigation bar, because I had to tie it all together and then use this JavaScript function, which is a reduce function, which is one of the harder ones. So I was able to get a little help with that from one of the teachers here, Brandon, and we were able to get through it together and get it all working as it should be. So that
Okay.
was, yeah.
Okay, good. Great job.
Thank you.
Joe, on completing your project, as we've spoken before, it's a great initiative and a great thought that you've put into making this website. I just wanted to add that probably you should consider putting a very well roundabout privacy policy and a disclaimer. As a website, you know, it all comes back to you. So probably adding those things and putting a lot of thought or legal advice on that would be great before you actually start to sign up users and see all of that content flowing in.
Okay, so you think kind of just like a list of rules and privacy. So before they sign up, they can make sure to read through all that and agree to it, right?
Yes, that too, and then part also a disclaimer so that if any glitches do happen, you are not liable for those things.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great job. This is a very positive webpage.
Yeah, that's the whole idea behind it. And I, like Tara said, there's a lot of things that directions that I can continue to go with it. And a lot of you guys mentioned like partnering with like doctors' offices and things like that. I had not thought of that at all until you guys brought that up. So that's definitely something to think of as well. And I'm definitely gonna think about that.
So, were there any other questions or comments for Joe? Okay, all right. Joe, if you want to unshare your screen, we have Jason up next.
Okay. Hello all. My name is Jason Brandenberger. I would like to start off first by saying just how fortunate I feel to have the chance to share what I've been working on here. I'm a hardworking father of two who loves fishing. I will come back to that. I've been in the construction industry for the last 17 years and am hoping to move into a field that I find both, uniquely challenging and inspirational. And that is what has led me here. My interests in computer science go back about 25 years to when I first started school at Central Michigan University in the mid-90s. And I guess for a little background on why I chose my project, I mentioned Michigan is where I was born and raised and is the land of 14,000 lakes. Take that, Minnesota. But so, no matter where we were at growing up, we were never more than a few miles from a good place to fish. And later on, I came here to the city and it really became difficult to find good places to fish without, traveling some distance. And, that led me to the belief that there should just be more websites that provide information about fishing areas, making it a little bit easier to find. And that is what has led me to creating the Fish Ninja. So this is my site. I gotta move my camera here. So this is a single page web application built from vanilla JavaScript. I like to think with a few sprinkles on top.
the structure of the page is built mostly from HTML, CSS, and then several of the elements are added through the JavaScript, which makes everything go. You know, one thing that I did a little differently with my site was to add the controllers folder here to the components. And so this either imports, you know, different functionality in, or some of it is written right here on the page and then exports that as the piece of state. And so that really, you know, allowed me to avoid a lot of the cross-view reference errors and, you know, not have to write countless, you know, if view equals this statement. It just directly links the JavaScript to each of the corresponding views. You come into the page itself, and in the header here, we have, you know, just a little bit about the website. You can come in here and sign in. This will take you to the register page where you can create your account. We'll go ahead and log in for some of the other parts of the site here. And as also in the header here, we have the tip section, and this will provide, based on the input, tips for fishing. You know, you can come in and select your species, and then you also can select the season, and that will output different tips based on whatever your selections may be. So go back to the home page here. As we move down the page, the map here takes up a good portion of the home page, and really is kind of the brain, I guess, of the site. Most of the information that makes the site go is run through the map here. And this was built using the Google Maps API. And then the information comes from ArcGIS GeoJSONs, which presented several challenges. The Google Maps API itself is quite nice to work with, very straightforward, and kind of just tells you what to do. The JSONs, however, you know, for each of the different states are all formatted differently. And so I implemented this parser, and so this takes in any of the JSONs that I was able to find. And then, you know, it sets the values from those JSONs to a universal key, which, you know, allowed me to use that information without having to write different JavaScript for each of the states, and really eliminated a lot of extra work. So if you come in here, you can select your state, and that will bring you to that state. And, you know, this just, all of these markers are the individual different lakes around the state. And if we come in here, this will bring us to kind of the final landing page, I guess. And this just provides information about this specific lake. It gives the current weather along with the next 3 days, a map of the local area. You know, if I have the information for that lake, the species that are present in the lake, and various information. It does vary lake to lake, and especially state to state, what information was available. If they do have them, this link will open a new tab with a contour map, which can be helpful for you know, locating different areas of the lake to target based on what species you're going to be fishing for. And if we go back then, this also is a way of just kind of refining the search. And so here you would just select your state. You do need to know the county by name that you want to look for here. And then you can also narrow it a little further by selecting the species of fish, which will then bring up a list. And so then here you select whichever, and it just a different way of getting to the same result, and narrowing it down a little bit. So also, yes, as we move down, we have our news feed here, and this pulls news from the Rapid API, and then just provides articles about fishing. Now, while this does function as a planned, the content does leave a little bit to be desired. Our North Atlantic whales being weakened, is that an important topic? Absolutely. Is it relevant reading information for potential users of the website? I mean, it's not even a fish. So I'm going to continue to search out other sources of news to be able to potentially use or add to this. And so here you can come in, displays the previous posts. If you would like to, you can, always in the way. Just enter your information. You do, at this point, have to include an image and create the post. And once the page refreshes, that will add the post to the list. And obviously we can view previous posts. Poor little guy found out the hard way not to get too close to the geese, just like his dear old dad.
Jason, I just had a quick question about the news feed on the right. This is
Okay.
Tara. Where, and I apologize if I missed it, where is that pulling from?
The Rapid API is the, yep.
Okay, thanks.
Quick questions on the data. So I want to say great job on the webpage. There's a lot of content here, and this takes a lot of time. I've built something similar, and it takes a lot of time. So kudos. And some of the questions I have, you've got a whole database of like fish. Obviously, you're passionate about this. Where are you pulling the information from?
That came from ArcGIS GeoJSON files.
Okay. And then let's say, have you thought about how your potentially this could connect to some of the already the natural reserves and educational type of forums, like I can't remember, like the conservations and things like that.
Yeah.
The conservation kind of more like awareness of, and we all know that some of these places needs to be taken care of, and this just kind of brings into light some of the awareness.
I would fully support getting on board with anything that supports taking care of the wildlife areas. There already aren't enough of them, and they're becoming fewer and fewer, and this is something that I love, and I, like I said, would fully support anything that would help.
Sounds good. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Jason, did you make the logo or did someone else make that for you?
No, I did not make the logo. I am not an artist. I do own that. I got it from a logo making company. Both the logo and the icons, and I do actually also have the oh my gosh, fishninja.net. I own the domain, but I'm nowhere near ready to launch that publicly yet. I still have a lot that I want to add. So.
No, I like your site a lot. It seems like she said had a lot of good content. When you showed the individual lakes pages, or did that weather feed, is that live and where's that coming from?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and get back in there. I did not mention that, and I'm very glad that you asked. So yeah, if that is from the Open Weather Map API.
Okay.
And that also was another one that was, I mean, it just comes in the form of a JSON file. And so then you individually select whatever key value pairs that you're going to use to populate, the different elements.
Are you querying like that one geolocation, or are you querying everything and then?
So on the home page, or I guess, with each of these individual markers in the map has the, let me go back into here. So all of this information is attached to, Missouri, unfortunately, had very limited information. So there's a lot of NA here. New York was really the one that had kind of the most complete data, I guess. I mean, of course, leave it to New York to be the biggest and best. I hate the Yankees. But they
I wouldn't say that out loud. I'm just kidding.
well,
It's okay.
I can't change who I am. Yeah, all of this information is attached to that marker. And actually, that was really the biggest challenge that I was having, was getting this information passed to the next view. And it wasn't until we started working with Firebase that I was able to then pull that data back once they clicked on it and attach the document ID to, when you click on it, it attaches that ID to the URL, and then it pulls that information back out from Firebase to add all the information to the page.
Gotcha. So in the case of this weather API, you're calling that with something
latitude, longitude for this particular lake.
Okay. Cool.
Sorry, I guess I got a really roundabout way of answering that.
No, I appreciate your passion around the tech and what you've done here. It's pretty impressive. Good job.
Thank you.
Jason, I'd second that the logo is that's quite remarkable. So excellent job on that. Just as a general question, in designing of your site, did you give any consideration towards ADA compliance at all?
I have no idea what that is.
Okay, so ADA compliance is Americans with Disability Act. So when you're thinking about designing websites or designing web applications, it's oftentimes a good view to think about to make sure that your site and your content is available from multiple people being able to view it. Another thought on that along that same lines would be that not everybody would consume the content in the same language. So a language translator, which there's a lot of free ones actually out there on the marketplace as well, might be a good thing to go into there, because you have a lot of really interesting content, and the ability to be able to translate that content would be beneficial, but also be able to adjust your contrast so that people would be able to see some of the content who are not maybe visually able to see as well as others.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are things that I had not considered, but certainly relevant and something that I would like to add.
I really like your use of APIs as well. That's an excellent approach to be able to move so many into your site. So good job on that. Good job setting that up. Could you help me understand a bit. I think I followed it, but I want to make sure I captured it right in my head. What is the purpose of why I would need to log into the site when I get there? I think that it's on there for the postings, the news postings.
Correct. You
Okay.
you don't need it to navigate and view anything, only if you wanted to add posts.
Got it.
Mainly that's it. There is a secondary, and this is really very similar. Oh, background didn't load. The catch of the week. This is very similar to adding posts. You know, you can submit an entry here, and this is really just a kind of fun thing. You know, you come into this page and this lists, you know, the different entrants who have submitted an entry. Right now, there's only one because I don't have any users. But similar to the posts, you know, you can. Fortunately, I have.
How are you managing or maintaining the user list or ensuring that the user list is current? Is that something?
Firestore.
I'm sorry.
Firestore.
Fires. Okay, got it. All right.
With auth.
So you have authentication on it.
I do.
Okay.
Okay.
This is one of the things I just want to have add feedback. That's this is a great area actually for because I know there's a lot of hobbyists or even avid sports you know, fisher, like deep sea sports and things like that. This could probably be a good way where they can actually share some of their like big catches or social interaction with fellow enthusiasts with
yeah,
you know,
I would
things
absolutely welcome that with open arms. You know, the one thing, I guess the last thing that I hadn't touched on, you know, down here in the bottom, it will display the other users, or at least some of them. This would be sorted based on location. So, you know, users that are from the same city or the same state would be displayed first. And this is the area of the website I really do hope to expand the most in, you know, creating kind of this social network platform that would allow the users to connect both individually and on a social level.
Yeah. Jason, to add to that, especially some of the things that Cheryl said, but really what everyone said, I love the functionality, right, of the site. One interesting thing to consider is you could actually set up a membership that it's like you pay, you know, it could be a small amount for kind of secret spot information. Meaning if you have a membership,
you know,
right?
And I've seen other similar.
That's a good idea. I love that.
I have. Part of where my idea for this whole thing came from is from a similar site that I have used in the past, and they used a similar technique, I guess. Yeah. It is my desire to keep this a free website.
Okay, that's cool. Well, so they could share that info, because the other thought I had is you could have like a map where you check mark where you've been and kind of your, you know, maybe not hearts, but kind of your favorite spots.
Yep.
Right. And then if you really wanted to expand it out, you could have your favorites, right? And then if you want to take a trip, you know, you could see what restaurants are in the area. You can talk about lures, not just fish, you know, what kind of lures to use.
Yep.
And then where bait shops are.
Yeah.
Where to buy the lures. Like there's so many different directions you could take this. And it's, I mean, if you wanted to sell this, you absolutely could. But if not, that's okay too. It would be a great site to go to. So.
Yeah, and how I'm seeing this, you actually totally have an MVP out here that if you wanted to launch this tomorrow, you probably could. You just have to identify which exactly features you want to release and kind of think about your release strategy. So just to throw it out there.
No, yeah, and I mean, it's all I think about. So, I don't want to put an incomplete product out there. I want it to be ready when I'm ready to put it out. And
you know, I would start off small scale for sure. You know, I do have kind of a bit of a regional presence here as far as which states that I have data for. You know, that really has been one of the biggest challenges itself, is just finding these JSON files. I have 6 now. I actually just added Missouri this morning. You know, I've been in contact with several state conservation departments, Missouri many times, and it's a lot of them, it just does not exist. You know, these government agencies are really kind of operating in the 1980s still. And it's hard enough just to get a hold of someone who even has an idea of what I'm talking about. I mean, I've literally heard a JSON file, but aren't you Jason? And I've heard that. And so, you know, I just take them as I can get them at this point, and I'll continue to add the information. But I guess, yeah, you know, I would look to, as far as marketing it, you know, possibly, you know, some of the outdoor retailers, seeing about, you know, setting up a booth with, you know, like t-shirt giveaways for, you know, creating an account, things like that. Going to some of the smaller scale, you know, fishing tournaments, and doing something similar. And then, of course, you know, Google and Facebook and things like that for trying to market it that way. But
Yeah. One thing to consider is allowing users to enter data as well, right? You have the information you verified, and then you have a section where users can enter data if there isn't any.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Awesome.
Great job.
Awesome job, Jason.
You know, Bass Pro Shop is located here in Missouri.
I know.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They might be your best resource. They might have every answer that you need.
Yeah, I'll.
They could be a partner. You never know.
Well, I wouldn't say no.
Great work, Jason. Really happy to see the website. Yeah, great.
All right. Unless there's any other comments, Jason, you want to unshare your screen so we can see everybody? Awesome. Thank you guys. Jason, Lillian, Joe, Jonathan, you guys did a great job. Thank you so much for sharing your capstone projects and taking us briefly through your long 12-week seeming to be never-ending journey. But you guys did a great job. So I'm very proud of you guys for what you've accomplished. If anybody else, do you guys have any other comments from the employer side?
No, I just want to kudos everybody. I can see the hard work and the heart that was put into a lot of your projects, and they're all great ideas. And I just want to encourage you to pursue them. And there are opportunities out here that, you know, for the skill set you've achieved, and, you know, that most aligns with your passions too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great accomplishment. Should be proud.
Right. Well, thank you everybody for spending the afternoon with us and now early evening. If any of you would like to talk further about Savvy Coders, learn more about the program, learn more about each individual student, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to Elaine, and we'd be more than happy to connect you to the students and have conversations about what Savvy Coder is and what we're building here. So I greatly appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was great.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good evening.